Okay. That's always struck me as an odd question, come to think of it. It's okay.
They can't hear you hardly.
Because by definition, if you cannot hear us in the hallway, then like when I ask you, you don't know that I've asked you a question even. So I don't know. We have to think of a different way.
It's a visual response. If they don't do anything, you know that.
Or they're bored.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's not that I can't hear you. It's that I'm not listening. Okay, so we're gonna do.
John, I have a suggestion real quick. Keep the water away from the microphone.
Too close to the
We've broken like 3 microphones on this trip.
Way too close to the microphone.
Okay, sorry. I can't hear when I like being.
They can hear us in the back though, and I'm not nearly as loud as he is, am I?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're the exact same.
All right, just keep talking.
I'm going to ask my question. I don't have a question.
Okay, here's what we're going to do then.
Today?
Boo. Oh, we're going to...
No, we don't.
I'm starting a new tradition where we boo each other. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to raise your hands like a sea of hands shall rise at once. It's going to be very fun. And then I'm going to call on someone, Hank's going to call on someone, I'm going to call on someone, Hank's going to call on someone. You don't have to ask the person who called on you a question. You can ask the other person a question if you want. And we're going to go super fast, except when we slow it down. Okay. I'm going to go first. Because I called it.
See you, man.
Tell us about your obsession with people's last words and give us some of your favorite examples.
Ah, thank you for the excellent question. Tell us about your obsession with last words and give some examples of your favorites. Yay! I became obsessed with last words when I was in like 8th grade, and I found out in a history textbook that the last words of, this turns out actually to be a bit of an oversimplification, but anyway, it was a great story when you were in 8th grade, that the last words of Thomas Jefferson were, "Is it the fourth?" In fact, his last words were something like, "Is it the..." And then someone postulated that he maybe meant the fourth, but he could have meant any number of nouns that start with F. You know. He could have been asking, "Is it the fifth?" You know? He was out of it. But it was July 4th, 1826, and he may have been asking, "Is it the fourth?" And John Adams' last word, is that right? Yeah, whew. God. John Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still survives," which are great last words because they were kind of rivals, and because Thomas Jefferson had in fact died like 2 hours before. So it was sort of factually inaccurate. I'm very fond of factually inaccurate last words. So this ended up working its way into Paper Towns. I'm looking for Alaska a lot. My first novel. My 2 favorite last words that aren't in the book, I'll give you 3. The last words of Emily Dickinson I think are very, very beautiful. She said, "I must go in, the fog is rising." Which is like a good advice, actually. Like, the last words of the writer Paul Claudel were, "Doctor, do you think it was the sausage?" How much better might Paul Claudel be remembered today if he had had the good sense to sort of follow up his diagnostic question with a beautiful observation, you know? "Doctor, do you think it was the sausage? The fog is rising." If you find yourself in a situation where you think that you may be in some kind of mortal danger,
Say
you do
something
need to
awesome.
obviously talk to your physician about the situation. "My appendix hurts. I've always loved sunsets." I know that when you say second to last doesn't get remembered at all. I'm very fond of the last words of Oscar Wilde, which are also sadly apocryphal, but I still like them even if they aren't true. He actually said this was like a month to go. But he was in this garishly decorated hotel room, and he turned to a friend and said, "Either this wallpaper goes, or I do." And then the last one, people often ask me about my own last one. What? I'll stop.
What was your last word?
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. Thanks.
John. That's
for me today. So I always say that the lamest thing you could possibly say is "I love you," because no one will remember it, and it's just cheesy, and there's no 3 words more cliched in the English language. But the only good example of like good "I love you" last words, W.C. Fields' last words were, I'm going to paraphrase for sensitive ears, "Gosh darn the whole frackin' world and everyone in it but you, Carlotta." It was very romantic, except that Carlotta was his mistress. His wife was named Hattie. It takes away a certain pang of what would otherwise be tenderness. But if I have a chance to say something, and I tell Sarah I love her, because I don't need memorable last words. She's not So much for Fast Question Tuesday.
I'm gonna go faster. That's you.
In one of your recent videos, you said you do your happy dance.
We haven't done a St. Louis happy dance yet.
Do it!
That's a totally new development. I thought you were going to go
parallel spiral.
I was at about a 30-degree angle for a second there.
I've never done that before.
Thank you for the excellent question.
That was
Next.
a fantastic answer.
Yes, with Starburst.
Can you try your shoes? I'm kind of worried that you're going to.
Oh. It's much as embarrassing than knowing to keep your zipper with it. I had a school where no one knew who I was. Thank you, Hank. I had a school where no one knew who I was. You've all heard that story probably, but it was
Yes.
terrible. Hank, your turn.
Back in the hat.
Okay, in a recent video, John said that he was wondering if he was an octopus. Are you an octopus?
Well, I mean, I did a test to determine whether or not I was an octopus. I did several tests. I was going to make a whole video about this, but it turns out that I have like nothing in common with an octopus. Like, there's no point of connection between a human being and an octopus at all. I mean, we're barely even both organic. But no, I'm not an octopus. I'm not going to run into the wall and shoot it, I promise.
Please?
No, I can't. I'm too old. Behind, you have a question?
Yeah, what's your favorite anagram?
Oh, easy.
Spears.
You want to say it?
I don't know what yours is. Mine is Joe Biden.
Yeah!
Good job.
If only he'd been named Joe Biden, it would be much better. It's much more grammatically correct. My favorite anagram is that Britney Spears,
Yeah.
this is entirely true, you can look it up later, anagrams to Presbyterians.
Yeah!
And it's such an unusual spelling of Britney that you have to wonder, like, was there some intent there? Like, there's only one T instead of two, there's that superfluous E, there's no A. I mean, it's such a weird spelling that you have to, like, for years I actually wondered about this, and I would think, like, God, did Britney Spears' parents do that, knowing they were an anagram to Presbyterians? Like, and then, so this, like, literally keep me up at night, like, trying to imagine different scenarios. And then, I saw an interview with Britney Spears' mom on MTV one day, just flipping channels, and I was like, no. I mean, she seems like a nice person, but she doesn't seem passionate about wordplay. Sure.
No.
No.
Into SeaWorld.
I'm going to stick to that. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so looking for Alaska, you mentioned a fox hat, and I want to know why a fox hat, and why a fox as the animal, and not some other kind of creature.
Kuni means fox.
You know, I like to talk about the symbolic resonances and you know, metaphors in my novels, because I really do think that it's important to read critically and thoughtfully. But I picked the fox because I knew a guy with a fox hat in high school.
Yeah, I remember.
That wasn't among them. So, I was what William Faulkner would call a self-conscious writer those days. But yeah, I knew a guy who wore a fox hat whenever he was gonna make trouble. Strangely effective as well.
Excluding Everyone Poops in My Pants, what's your favorite children's novel?
Oh, children's, like, any, do we have to pick a book or an in your pants book?
Book.
Okay.
A book. Not in your pants. Yeah, who gets
I don't
stuck.
think you can get better than Who Gets Stuck.
Who gets
Yeah!
That's A.A. Milne's greatest work.
And I think my favorite, like, tiny children's book is Gus is a Bug, which I don't think
Out
you
of
can
print.
get anymore.
Out of print. Brilliant. We're going to agree about this. Favorite tiny children's book is this easy reader called Gus is a Bug. 32 pages. I've never found the book, but I did find text of the book on the internet. The last spread is, you'll never guess what happens to Gus. He is a caterpillar, and then the most amazing thing happens.
Turns into a butterfly?
And the last line is,